Good morning and welcome to another episode of Wise Tech for Wise Money. I'm Gary Wayne, founder of A1 Solutions. We work with founders, leadership teams and businesses to improve efficiency, scale intelligently and grow through smarter use of technology via systems and AI-driven automation. Today's episode is titled AI in the Real World Automation, Wartime Innovation and Industrial Scale. Now, a lot of people talk about AI, but very few people are implementing it as it should be and properly in the real environment where it has to work, where it has to deliver results, and where failure simply isn't an option. Today's guest is doing exactly that. I'm joined by Volodymyr Zhukov, joint founder of Flexes, a company specializing in integrated automation systems, combining hardware, software, and AI deployed across industry and even defense environments. Volodymyr is currently operating out of Cyprus, but also is dealing with his partner Dmitry, who is stationed in and positioned in the Ukraine, and building and deploying systems that are not theoretical, they're practical, they're live, they're mission critical. Volodymyr, really appreciate you being here today. How are you, and how's your day been, and how's things going?
Yeah, thank you. Everything is great, and thanks a lot for the invitation to your podcast. So I hope we will have a great discussion and talk about everything connected with artificial intelligence, because it's topic now not only on hype, but now it's actually implemented in companies, so in defense sector also, so we can see real results finally.
Sure. So you work with Dmitry. Dmitry, I understand, lives in Lviv. You're in Cyprus. How does that work? And how did you get to be working with Dmitry? And tell me a little bit about your journey and what you cover at Flexes.
Yeah, we were partners even before the war started, and I was in Poland when the war started, so I'm still traveling through Europe. I'm living in Cyprus and traveling to United States several times, maybe per year. And Dmitro is based in Ukraine, but he also taking part in different conferences around Europe mostly. And of course, when the war started, we decided that we need to help somehow to the front line, to the battlefield. And our priority project, we did different approach, different startups connected with battlefield application of artificial intelligence. But the most successful one was Panoptis. And what do we actually do? We are identifying drones in the sky. Because at this moment, mostly drones are autonomous, so they are not moved by operators anymore in most cases, and they are autonomous, so they choose in target, they understand their surrounding, and they are quite smart, as we can say, unfortunately for us. But what problem this cause that we can't find the drones because they don't have any radio frequency, they don't have any signals because they are autonomous, but we can see them, we can see them in the sky.
So just so I understand, you're using AI systems to identify where drones are?
Yeah.
And is that like a radar system, or how does it work exactly, and how does AI actually execute it?
We have quite complicated technology. It connects three types of receiving information. It's a radio frequency, it's a LiDAR, and it's a camera, basically. So we can see up to 5 kilometers in radius. And we have our own gimbal station. So because when our camera has a maximal zoom, it should be super stabilized, because it can give very strong biases if it's not stable. So that's why we spent a lot of time developing our our project itself, and it's quite complicated because the MVP we started, it's completely different of that we have right now and that we use right now.
And are you selling this technology to other countries other than Ukraine?
Yes, we now have negotiations with to make some pilots in Poland and in Denmark. Also, we have a strong interest from airports. It's a dual-use technology, so airports are also quite interested in drone detection system, because we saw what happened in Europe, in Denmark, in Norway,
Sure.
in Netherlands. So yeah, I think at this moment, like the war and changed a lot of things in the real battlefield, and we can understand that drone is such a thing that you can produce at home. So it's really, there is a big possibility that drone can appear anywhere in Europe, in United States, in Canada, anywhere with explosion, and it's basically a weapon, a new type of weapon that nobody like is not prepared for.
What's the range of a drone?
Oh, it
How
can be
far can it
quite.
actually go?
It can be thousands of kilometers. Really.
And how is it actually operated? Is that operated via AI, or how is it actually controlled?
If there is an operator, it can be operated via radio waves or even cable, but cable, it's not a big distance. And if in most cases drones are autonomous, so you just send it and move away, and drone will automatically understand surrounding, find target, prioritize target, and destroy it. So that's a big problem, because this is like an autonomous weapon. They become a real game changer.
Yeah, unbelievable. And do you only have one system for detecting drones, or are you working on many?
We are now developing our own dataset, our own AI. We are developing it for more than 2 years already. We have a lot of videos of drones from Ukraine, and we have developed our own system that can even predict the direction of the drone, how it will move. And our technology is the most efficient when we have 3 stations, because we can make, in this case, a triangulation, so we can not only understand where the drone is with a very, very high high frequency, and like we can see like on each millisecond how it's moving, and also we can understand, we can predict its trajectory, not only in the 2D surrounding but in 3D, because it can change its latitude, not only latitude and longitude, it can change the height the drone is flying.
Fantastic. What else do you do at Flexes apart from this technology? What other technologies are you covering, and for what purposes?
Oh, a lot of things, mostly connected with computer vision. And I see a very big potential in computer vision. Basically, like that's where the drones appeared, but we did a lot of projects even before. For example, production lines where we need to control the quality of that what is production in, for example, bread pieces, like they need to be the same size, and if there is some bias in the production line, we need to exclude it from the line. So we made a lot of automations, we can say, like we automated processes that can run 24/7 without any human touch, or with with the human in the loop who will just control the system. And these projects we made for a long time. We started doing such kind of things even before COVID.
So what other processes do you automate, may I ask?
It's complicated manufacturing processes connected with IoT also, so smart devices or different parts of manufacturing processes, different robotics, automations. So we do all these things. Also, everything connected with cameras, with identification of objects. For example, we can count how many people went through a shopping mall, for example, what's the age, what the gender. So like we can collect statistics for owners of the shopping malls, and it can give a very strong understanding who are they working with, what are the clients, and how to adapt the business for their clients.
Well, where is your company head office?
Our head office is in Kharkiv, so we basically originally from Kharkiv. It's in Ukraine, and we also have offices in Germany, in United States, in Florida, and in Cyprus. Yeah, I'm also presenting this company, but we don't actually have clients in Cyprus. So we have several partners in Europe. We have strong connections with Germany as a country, and we have several partners there. Also, we have partners in Romania and in Moldova and in Poland.
Right, okay. So your head office is in Kharkiv. Is this not where the Russians are trying to occupy, or where is it not the front line of the war?
It's near the front line, unfortunately. So now our team is spread through Ukraine. So we have part of our team in Kiev, part of our team in Lviv, and our CEO Dmitro, he is also in Lviv at this moment. But there are some people still in Kharkiv. Nevertheless, it's like about 70 kilometers from the front line, but there are a lot of people, and it's on Ukrainian side, so it's not occupied, and it have not been occupied since the war started.
Is it dangerous to be in Kharkiv, or is life as normal as it could be?
Unfortunately, at this moment, it's dangerous to be anywhere in Ukraine because Russian missiles, like the rockets or the drones, they are flying through all the Ukrainian territory. So even in Lviv, we heard and we saw explosions, unfortunately. So Ukraine is not the place where we can feel safe, but we're still doing some things. We're still running business and trying to make this world better. Even, we had a client from Greenland, and we manufactured the robotic things that this client needed for gold mining. And it was produced in Kharkiv under the bombs and in shelters, but we are still doing it, we are still operating.
It's amazing. I think when I spoke to Dmitry, he mentioned that you've deployed systems into over 80 industrial plants, breweries, food production, meat processing. Where are those businesses actually lose money before you come in? And how do you actually help them in their profitability and productivity? Apart from automation, is there anything else that you do using AI that helps them actually increase, their bottom line?
Yeah. AI is very good for prognosing things because it's used widely in logistics. AI is quite good in sales and marketing, but I think potential in these domains is quite overhyped because what do we actually see? That most companies are trying to implement AI in sales and marketing on the first place. And it's quite complicated because sales and marketing is connected with people, with their behavior. And what do we actually see? That many companies have a very, very huge potential in automations, like in simple processes which someone is doing manually, or in a huge number of documents that some department gives to other department, then some people structure in these documents and give something back. So this, these processes can look simple, and for example, this process can last for an hour each day for one person, but if there are 50 person in department and they spend 1 hour per day, so in 1 month we see a huge amount of hours that is spending on a quite monkey job, we can say. And that's I think the priority for us to automate all the things, because they are given quite high ROI. We can see quite impressive ROI on such simple processes.
Where are the main inefficiencies you see when you visit a company or take on a new client?
I can say it's communication between departments, communication processes between departments, because if the company is quite big, like several thousand of people, they actually don't know what they are doing sitting near in the room near them. And the problem is they are not losing only working hours, they are losing efficiency from wrong decisions. That because, for example, one department can actually know that something changed, and the other department will know it in 2 months or something like that, and they are making still some ineffective things. So, and this concept is called second brain, and that's what we also are trying to implement in different companies, because
What do you call it, second brain?
It's like a very popular naming in the United States, like the second brain of each employee in a company. So that, or like AI body. I don't know how is better to call it.
So what do you actually do? You implement the second brain. How does that actually work? And you do this yourself, yeah?
Like it's informational layer which everybody have connection to. So when the meeting happened in some department, all the company knows the information that was discussed on this meeting. Of course, all the people who need to know, like if they don't have access to this information, they shouldn't know about it. But if they have, they already know it. And in this case, you can save a lot of time just asking some chatbot or copilot or something like that about what's our priorities, what was discussed on the meeting, what's the final results. And you can know it like in 5 minutes after this meeting passed. And you don't need to go to this person, and maybe they have other meetings. So you can ask AI, and AI will be informed about everything what is happening in the company, and it gives a really big ROI, because because the communication processes become quite fast and impressively faster.
Well, where would you say your main source of business is at the moment? In defense systems?
I think at this moment, yes, because unfortunately we are in the war, and unfortunately Europe is also in danger. And like seeing what's happening with drones, seeing what's happening in Iran at this moment, we all need to protect ourselves from a new type of weapons. So we understand this trend, and we understand that we have capabilities and we have experience and already made products to help business, because I think every mining station, every electricity station, every water pump is in danger, actually, because like drone terrorism, unfortunately, is the thing we will see in very nearest future.
How do you physically, get the data to be able to track a drone? And do you have to have different data for different drones? And is there any, obviously drones fly in the sky, does the data ever confuse a drone with an aeroplane, etc.? How do you, differentiate between what you're actually monitoring? or how does AI do it? And how do you get to that point?
That's a quite complicated process because we have developed our own AI model that is identifying drones or different flying objects, we can say. And we have a quite big data set at this moment because our stations are working since 2023, and we have a very, very impressive data set of different flying objects that we saw in the sky. And of course, it took a lot of time to manually separate all these objects to understand what is drone, what is bird, and other things.
But how did you get into it? Was it an accident, or did you specifically decide we're going to monitor drones and create that system?
We decided to, because our friends are on the front line, we saw this problem for a very long time, just in the beginning of the war, I can say. And of course, we thought about how we can help. And drone identification is the thing that came to our mind first, because drone is the main danger at this war. Drones is the main danger thing, because this is a type of new weapon, how the front line is moving. So it's moving with the drones, with the drone attacks, massive drone attacks, like thousands of drones, and it's moving forward this way, and nothing can survive in this thing, because autonomous drone will identify the target and it will follow it until it explodes. So that's why we understood the problem it causes, and we understood that we can use our knowledge in the computer vision to help to make such a unique model and train it and use it in a battlefield.
So if AI can track drones, what else can we use AI for within defence and a war situation? I mean, obviously we've got tanks on the ground, we've got guns, we've got soldiers. Can we use AI to detect and trace where everybody is and where dangers are at all times?
Yeah, where we can use AI, first of all, if we have international people on a battlefield, they can communicate without limits, we can say, because now translation is a very important thing. The second thing, we can predict a lot of things that can happen on a battlefield, because we know the data, and the data is a king in the era of AI, so we can understand maybe some movements of an enemy, maybe tactical and strategical movements. The other thing where AI can be used, and actually it's very, very broadly used by Russia, for example, it's propaganda. So, and they really now flooding AI systems with wrong facts, with propaganda things. And we saw such examples that in some period of time ChatGPT answers that Crimea is Russian territory. Then they fixed it, and they are doing it in a lot of time, because they are making a lot of content, not like true content, propaganda content, but AI systems are crawling all this information. They can't verify if it's good or bad, like we can say, and AI becomes biased. So that's a very big problem at this.
Can we not create a counter AI system that basically counters the propaganda?
We were involved in such a project. We did some pilot tests, but then we moved to the drone system. But I think this idea and this direction has a very, very big potential, because we will see much more of propaganda, because it costs not so much. Like, you can use AI to produce so many content that we even can't imagine.
So how do you see the future of AI in defence and going forward? I mean, how how much AI can we use to control a battle, defences? I mean, in 2 to 3 years, how much improvement can you see?
I think AI will be used almost everywhere on a battlefield. And I think that we will see less and less people on a battlefield. We will see more and more robots on a battlefield. So drones is only the first step. I think the next step it will be some kind of robotic cars or something like that. That's just like operated by people, but without people inside. And I think we will see more and more such kind of stuff, because now we see water drones. There are a lot of water drones, and that's the second step. And the third one will be, I think, autonomous vehicles, autonomous robots. They are now also used like these robot dogs. They are now being used on a battlefield, and like I think there will be more and more such kind of stuff.
So without being too science fiction, do we see soldiers being replaced by AI?
Yeah, I think yes. In some like small operations, in some tactical issues, yeah.
Very interesting. Moving on to business in general, you do 80% of your business, I understand, in Europe, the US, and Israel. How do you generally, access and sell your business? How do you get yourself out there? How do you find your clients? I mean, how do you operate on a day-to-day basis with that in mind?
Oh, that's we are working with our partners. So if we need to work with some geographical region, we need to have partner in this region. I think that's the best way to operate, because without a real representative in this country, that's almost impossible to make some business, because now like all the surroundings is also overflooded by AI. LinkedIn is overflooded by AI. People from India, Philippines, from all these countries where they have quite small salaries, and they have very, very strong competing prices. The only problem they had before, they had a quite weak communication skills. With AI, they now have very impressive communication skills. So I think if you want to have clients in like in the new era of AI, you need to go networking, you need to go to real conferences, to events, to talk with people, to see them, to shake their hands, and then they will trust you more. So we are now, I think, in the economy of trust, where trust will identify everything else. So, and one of the pillars of economy of trust is networking.
So do you, and the people you network it with, apart from getting clients, do you want your partners to be AI versed and AI specialists in those other countries?
I think no, we have a quite strong expertise, and we can join to a call. I think for our representatives, the most important thing is to basically network, to have trust from other people, to have success cases, to have a strong reputation. And if we have everything, so it will be a very big part of success story, because everything else can be like organized by a call, by connecting our strong engineering specialists. But first step is trust.
Sure. You've got 50, 60 engineers, is that correct?
Yeah.
Obviously multiple markets, multiple projects. How do you manage all that? How do you coordinate? How do you just deal with all that? I mean, that's a lot of people in the AI world. doing all different projects.
Yeah, and we are already using AI in our working surrounding. We are organizing our own project management system based on AI. So because we have more than I think 15 years of all documentation, all kind of stuff, all RFPs, etc., and we built our own AI that now can help us to estimate project, not in days like it was before, but in 15-20 minutes. So now we can put everything like the dialogue with the client or the listing, or maybe they have some kind of documentation they want to build, and we can upload it to our AI, and we can see raw estimation of what we can do in this project. And then our project manager needs like in half an hour, maybe an hour, to just verify if everything is correct. And we are responding very fast to our clients, and we are trying to make data out of our expertise. So I think in the era of AI, one of the most important thing is the ability to put everything out of your head to a real data processes, and in this case it works good.
Well, what is your background? Are you an AI engineer or a technician, or are you just an entrepreneur that is who's managing a business with AI as its core business?
No, I started as an IT specialist, as an engineer in 2004, and I was programming in Notepad. Even in 2004 there was no any stuff like Visual Studio or something like that. And for several years I was an engineer. Then I went to a manager side, and then to a business owner side. But I understand processes completely, and according to AI, I had some publications in 2011. It was my PhD work. We were modeling traffic in our city in Kharkiv. So even at the time we built some kind of AI agents. Of course they were not so smart as they are now, but it was possibility to predict something, to make some models, and it was quite interesting.
Okay, well, before we wrap up, I'd just like to ask you one question. Where do you see the biggest opportunity for AI in the real world now? If you were just starting out, where do you see the biggest opportunity?
I think it's maybe some operational part of any business. So what would I recommend to do is to go to a real business processes and to see if there are some processes that is made manually but quite good documented. If you find such process, it will be AI automated in a year. And if you find a way to automate it, you can make a startup, you can build some kind of SaaS software or something like that, and you can raise a lot of money as an investments, and you can sell a lot of things, because these manual processes are happening in thousands of businesses at this moment, and everybody in this company is thinking about AI automation, because even 2 years before, 1 year before, people were more concerned about AI. Now they understand that AI is a big thing and they need to do something with it. So
what I notice is people understand that AI is important, but the majority of people think that if they use OpenClaw or Claude or ChatGPT, that is the answer to all AI, issues. What I don't think people realise is that they can systemise most of their business, and most people seem reticent to actually go that far. Have you noticed that yourself?
Yeah. I think still we automated a lot of things, but still we are finding so many things that are not automated, and there is so huge amount of work still. So I think it will be just more and more automated and complicated, and like the programming language changed. Like now it's in English language. Now we don't need to know maybe PHP or C# or something like that. We need to know only English. But there will be some other layer of abstraction, where we will go soon. So interesting times.
Yeah, it is interesting times, Volodymyr. I'd like to thank you for coming on the podcast. I wasn't prepared, but I hope it went okay for you.
It was very nice. Thank you.
I'd written the script or my notes around Dmitry, and obviously I didn't know you, but it's been a very good conversation. Once again, I think we've not had anybody on that deals in your arena, defence, etc., etc. So I think we've learned a lot, and I think you've opened our eyes to what's really going on in the real world. We see the news, we see the war, we see what's going on in Iran, what's going on in Ukraine. We actually don't know, how it's operated, what stuff goes on behind the scenes, and you just opened my eyes, to quite a bit. So thank you very much for that. If people want to get in touch with you, learn more about what your company can do, etc., how should they contact you? Where should they go? Where can they find you and your services?
You can go to our website panoptes.com. It's our defense direction, the identification of the drones. And we have a company Fluxys Germany, Fluxys DE. It's for the west regions here where we can work. So there is all information and all the contact information. And of course you can find Dmitro or me in LinkedIn and write a message. We are open for communication anytime. Okay,
well, don't go away, but I'd like to say thank you to everybody who's listened in today. I'd like to thank you again, Volodymyr, for joining this podcast. And while I'm signing off, this is Gary Wayne from A1 Solutions. Please keep an eye open or an ear open for the next podcast, which should be in the next few days. Hopefully we can bring along another enticing, interesting guest like we've had today. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. It was a very interesting podcast. Thank you very much.
I really have learned a lot as usual. But I've not ever covered anything in this domain before. So fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.